Hi everybody, my name is Carol Peruso, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at some of the tools you can do for more general consumer behavior research. As you remember, we have a research guide set up for every department on campus, and if you go to the research guides and you scroll down to Consumer Affairs and then click it again, and then we're going to go to the CAFF 427 page. And I'm going to be talking with you about general consumer behavior research and some simple searches that you can do for that. And I've outlined these tips down here at the bottom. It's always a good idea if you're testing out a topic or thinking about a topic that you actually test it out and see how much research has been done and how relevant it is to what you're trying to study. We're going to start with the library homepage, back at the library homepage with the one search box. And we're going to try this search. Consumer behavior and healthcare. And I'm putting the "and" in caps. It doesn't have to always be that way in all of our databases, but occasionally it does, so I just do it as a matter of principle. Practice. And what we see that comes up is 552,000 results. Now, if you remember, the one search box searches about 90% of the library's collection. It doesn't search newspapers if you do the general search, but if you come over here on the left and do the newspaper search and repeat your search, you'll see that there's another 82,000 results from newspapers. But I'm going to go back to the library search. Consumer behavior, healthcare. So what do we do when we have 552,000 results? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sign in, because that way I'll have more tools at my disposal. And then I'm going to use the filters over here on the left. But I'm also going to look at my search terms to see if there's any that are common phrases and that I might put in quotation marks in order to refine my search. Well, certainly consumer behavior is a common phrase, so I'm going to put it in quotation marks. And healthcare is a common phrase, so I'm going to put it in quotation marks. Not everything should go in quotation marks, only if it's a common phrase, because the quotation marks keep it together. And that reduced me from 550,000 down to 37,152. Now, that may be too narrow, actually, because there are more than one way to talk about consumer behavior, and there's certainly more than one way to talk about healthcare. So now I'm going to try some synonyms. I'm going to put consumer behavior in parentheses. And then I'm going to go inside the parentheses and type "or." I'm going to try consumer preferences. I'm not going to put that one in quotation marks. That's probably not quite as well known a phrase. I'm going to go over here to healthcare, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put medicine or health insurance, and I'm going to try those. Now I've expanded my search again. And this takes us up to 368,000. Not as high as the first, but probably better than the intermediate search that we did. Then I'm going to come over here on the left and I'm going to go to the subject filter. And what the subject filter does is it converts my search terms into terms that are what the item, the resource is about. When you put search terms in, what you're doing is you're just asking the search engine to find any mention of those terms. With subjects, you're actually asking what the item is about. And this is done by humans, librarians behind the scene all over the country, probably all over the world, to make this possible. So I'm going to click on consumer behavior. I'm also going to click consumers. I'm going to click health insurance, patient satisfaction, medical care, quality of care, delivery of care, consumer education, medical care in the United States, health insurance, consumers, okay? And then I'm going to apply those filters. And now I'm down to 53,000 results that are going to be about my topic. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the date range. Generally, not all the time, but generally when you're doing research, you're going to want things that are more recent. I'm going to go to 2000. I recommend that you don't go too narrow because you might miss things that are very relevant and that your professor would accept if you just asked them. So that took another 10,000 off. From here, they are sorted by relevance, but from here, you're pretty much going to have to make your own judgments on what is useful. You can, if you need peer-reviewed journal articles, you can also filter by that. That gets rid of a lot more, but you have to be careful because sometimes you're going to want more than just peer-reviewed journals. So this first one, you can see it's a book. It's available online. Another book, Strategies for the New Healthcare Marketplace. This looks like it's right on point, although it's a little bit on the older side. It's 2001, but it looks like it's going to look at things from the marketing perspective, consumers' misunderstanding of health insurance, etc. When you find something that you want, you would just click on the title. And if we have it, it's going to tell you what database it's in, or perhaps it's open access. Might have a link for further link to the PDF. You may want to look at an APA citation. This is a computer generated citation, so you have to be careful and double check it. But it's a help when, especially if you're doing your citations, as I used to do at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then you can go ahead and go on to the article. You could also email it to yourself, which I strongly recommend. So that's one search. So now we're going to go back to the Consumer Affairs Research Guide, and we're going to look at some of the databases and take a look in the databases for the same search, just to get a sense of the differences. And I'm going to try the database ABI Inform. ABI Inform is the database I was mentioning to you, has a lot of trade journals in it. And trade journals are going to give you a business perspective. So I'm going to try the same search. And click search. And we get 450,000 results, okay? Over here on the left with the source types, this is where you're going to be able to find your trade journals, scholarly journals, etc. I recommend that you exclude wire feeds. They're highly repetitious. And for this particular example, I'm going to try the trade journals. Which gets us down to 16,000. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to shorten the time frame here. And now let's just look at some of the titles of these journals. Managed Care Outlook, Medical Benefits. Now this says it's a trade journal. It sounds a little bit more scholarly to me, so it's possible that it's a little of both. We have, I don't know what EBRI Research Brief is, but it looks like there's a lot from that journal. Financial Market Trends. So you get the sense that these are very much from inside the industry. And again, you can get the full text. Almost everything in this database is full text. You can also get a citation, though you have to be particularly careful with this database because it doesn't automatically default to the latest edition of APA. You can email the article to yourself. The other databases work very similarly, and if you don't find a database in the field in the topic that you're looking for, you can also go and search all of the databases. And I'll come back in a little bit with a video on doing your ad analysis.